Hello and welcome back to my channel. And this probably... Okay. If you're curious about why I'm playing Shin Megami Tensei music in the background here, you'll get it in a minute. Okay, so... This is not a review of, Shin Megami Tensei If. This is a review of, a film by the same name from 1968. Or I'm going to attempt to review it anyways. I just finished watching it. And honestly, I actually have an interview tomorrow, so I really shouldn't even be doing this. Which is why I'm also using the low quality cam here. But anyways, so now first off, let me get this straight to you guys. So part of the reason I came across this movie was looking for an English Let's Play of the game myself. While doing so, I came across a review and decided to check it out. And this review claims that this movie highly influenced, maybe even, or no, it was highly based off of this movie, the game was. Which is pretty hilarious, because I remember the wiki saying it was based off a book by the same name. Don't remember who the author was, so, excuse me if, that's all I can say on it, because I wish I knew who the author was. If I knew who that book was, I could probably go back and look for it, but, yeah. So, anyways, he mentioned this movie, so I decided to look for it, and, the film I found was from 1968. It is on YouTube. Actually, what's really hilarious about this, halfway through the film, I was watching this on, the TV, on the, YouTube app or whatever. Halfway through, the TV just automatically shut down. I'm like, it's gonna take forever to just, get back to where I was on this, so I just went back over to, my computer and did it that way. So I went from, like, authentic quality to, revised quality. That is a huge difference. So I'm not going to mention anything on the presentation in that regard. But yeah. Anyways, so this movie is too long for its own good. And also it seems to really be seeking out to well, I guess back in that time, it really was seeking out to, give people who are, you know, similar to me, a really bad reputation. And you'll get what I mean in a minute. So, first thing we get to see is, our main character, going to the school. He is all incognito. He's got a black scarf around up to like here, and a really nice big black hat. And it's a boarding school, which automatically already gave me a disconnect there. Because I went to public school and all that. It turns out the reason he was hiding his face was because he thought it was too beautiful to hide or something? Too beautiful to show off or something? Of course he shaves in that scene too. I don't get what's going on at the start here. Not only is it a slow start, it's a very, like, what start, you know? So, our main character becomes pretty much quick friends with a guy who was seen just recently in a different scene being pretty much a dick. Let's put it that way. And throughout the movie, we kind of see in these first few scenes where these kids are just dicks to each other, and the people that are really just kind of holding up our our main cast, the 3 main characters. They're just kind of there stopping people and such, or maybe getting to a situation too late or whatever. Just so you know, these guys have long hair for the 60s. Let's put it that way. Long hair for the 60s. And that's like Beatles' hair length. So that was seen as rebellious back in the day. Nowadays, my hair length is seen as frickin' rebellious, apparently. Even though I've seen longer, but that's a story we'll get into a different time. So, these guys are being portrayed as, rock and roll type rebels. We see them drinking, looking at porn. Hell, we even get into homo stuff. And this movie is not shy. We will see a lot of naked people. Too much naked people. There's like only 2 chicks we ever see naked, so yeah, I feel like I just kind of watched porn that I never wanted to touch with a 10-foot pole. But yeah, it goes into all this different stuff. I'm going to assume that the 3rd guy that was part of their group was this homo character. I couldn't really tell. They didn't really make it too clear who is what, you know, but this guy that they're trying to portray as homo, he really does come off as, well, homo. It looks like he grew his hair out long for the reason of attracting men, and he's got that, like, womanly stature to him, and speaks womanly. I'm pretty sure that's the character they were trying to portray as gay, but for the main portion of the movie that I was watching, it was black and white and hard to tell who is who, so, but that was the character that I was thinking they were portraying as gay. The other 2, all the characters are seen actually looking at porn at one point, but halfway through this movie, they are given off to this one instructor with the assumption that he's going to be super strict. So, oh, I should also probably mention, this is like a huge, like, 30 minutes, all of what I just said. All of what I just said. 30 fucking minutes. What was this 30 minutes filled up with, other than showing the plot? Showing school life. Showing how strict they are. Showing that the school is very into the Corinthian, religion. Corinthian? I can't think what they're called right now. Catholic, there we go. Very into the Catholic religion, so the church is involved. Hell, the very first scene where they prove that the church is involved, they have a nun walk through the school, which is just mind-blowing to think of these days. A nun! You know? These days, you'd be really hard-pressed to see religion that prominently in schools. Even religious schools, it's not that prominent. I mean, yes, we're reading the Bible and such in religious schools. I don't have much expertise on that, but I do have a friend who did go to a Christian school. I instead grew up in a house with a lunatic mother. That's another story for a different time. But, on top of that, we see many scenes of just them in church, just doing choir and such, and I'm just like, bored of my mind watching. It's like, is this necessary? I could literally walk away and pop popcorn and not miss a goddamn thing.
Hey, listen.
So, anyways, once we finally get the ball rolling, these rebels, well, I guess they are actually rebels in this show, so I shouldn't be using quotes. but at the current moment, they're just portrayed as a rebel. They're actually more like anarchists towards the end, but towards this part of the show, they're just portrayed as like your run-of-the-mill rock and roll rebel. I don't give a fuck about anybody in this place type of rebel. You know, they're not gonna do any harm unless you mess with them, type of thing. So, now that the ball's rolling, they go off on a heist, basically. Well, a heist might not be the right word. So, we see the gay guy and our first main character kind of holding hands, walking around, kind of probably trying to ingrain that idea that this guy is gay type of thing, which again doesn't make any sense because they're literally looking at porn with naked girls in it type of porn not that long ago, but whatever. So we've got these gay guys now walking along in the streets. It looks like they're on a date or whatever. They kind of play fight a little, and then they walk into a motorcycle shop, smoking and all that. They steal a motorcycle and head off. I should probably mention spoilers. And head off to a coffee shop. Which, by the way, that's another mind-blowing thing. How the fuck did they not get stopped by the police? But whatever. Details. They go off to this coffee shop, and to cement their whole fuck society's norms type thing, porn orders, filled with cream, sugar, all this fucking crap stuff, the other, absolute black coffee. They get their coffee from this, woman who is actually decently attractive, and the, guy that we are mostly following throughout this movie kinda, forces her into a kiss. He gets slapped, and then he puts 2 spoons of sugar in his coffee. I don't know if that's supposed to mean anything. They angrily go off to their table, and our main character then goes off to the jukebox and puts on this really weird song. It's very ominous. I don't know what is up with this song. It's a very prominent song in this movie. I think it's supposed to mean something, but I don't know the title of the song. I don't recognize it. It's just very ominous and ugh. But he has listened to it in the past over and over on his record player while doing whatever it was he was doing. And and this is something he's into. The woman comes over, and all of a sudden, apparently, she has the hots for him, and they have the weirdest fucking sex I have ever seen. Yes, that is one of the few scenes where we actually see a naked woman. And no, we don't actually get to see the sex, but we get to see everything coming up, or following up to it, and it is fucking weird. Just think Animal Fight type of weird. That is what was going on in a strip. So, they get dressed, they finish their coffee, and I guess this woman that they were with is in a neighboring border school or something. I don't know quite what's going on there, but yeah. So they go off back to the school. Our main character helps the gay guy escape, only to be caught. So, the next day, the whole group of the protagonists, the friend, I don't even know what's up with him. He did get in trouble for the vodka fairly early on, but honestly, he's not even that prominent of a character. But, our three main guys get the old school discipline, and they get it in spades. Which, I don't know. Okay, so, we actually get to see the main character getting the discipline. We get to hear the other two get it, one coming out. We find out there's blood. Yeah, they drew blood. That's bad. Anyways, so, we actually get to see the main character, and he gets the worst of it. Not only does he get the first bit that the first two did, but then he's sitting there for an extra 4 or 5 more. And then once he's told he can stand up and walk out, the teacher that was giving him the old school punishment, holds out his hand and expects a thank you for this. Let me just tell you right now, if I was this guy rebelling, I would not shake this teacher's hand and say, thank you, Mr. whatever his name was. Honestly, you can't really hear these people in this movie, as there's a lot of mumbling, speaking under the breath, and such. So, if I get some details off, I'm giving you the general rundown here. Basically. And that would be why. But, I would not have shooken his hand like this rebel does. Or maybe I would, but not for long. I'd grab his hand, pull him towards and punch him or something. It'd become a fucking fight. But whatever. The apparent real fight is about to come anyways. And this is the part where they really try and degrade people who are literally just not into authority type of thing. This is where it really starts to fucking happen. So, we see our main character, and during the beginning of the movie, he was getting all these cutouts of people from magazines and such, right? Well, now we find out what he was doing with those cutouts. He was using them for target practice. And the other two main characters come in, and our main character is the one who comes up with the plan here. He asks if they trust him, then become blood brothers, and then he shows that he has real fucking bullets. So now we cut away to the next day. And the group is off firing rifles. I'm assuming they're either BBs or paintballs. But there is also like little fake explosives that are just harmless. They intentionally get themselves fake killed, there we go, yeah. So that way they have time to load these rifles up with their real bullets. And they stay there for quite a while the rest of the group is regrouping. That's when they shoot their guns. And the teacher that was leading them on this fake mission, or whatever it was, is trying to compensate the rifles And he gets shot, but not killed? I don't get that part. As a matter of fact, there's a whole apology scene or whatever that was just really fucking weird. I mean, he comes out of a fucking drawer, the guy who's shot, to shake the rebels' hands. Or I should say anarchists at this point. They've made it quite clear at this point that they do not like authority. The main quote being, one bullet in the right place can change everything, I believe was the quote. I might have that slightly wrong. But, so, yeah, that scene was just really weird. Anyways, all this follows up to the boys in a basement where they find surrogate babies or whatever. Aliens, maybe? I don't know exactly what it was. And that was the part I was watching in color. Something in a jar that was clearly life. But, anyways, they put the jar back and go behind the cabinet they got it from to find a whole stockhold of weapons. You can see where this is going up now, can't you? Well, this follows up into their graduation. And during their graduation is when they fucking let hell loose. And that's the end of the movie. Well, not quite. First we get to see the guy that this supposed bullet needed to hit tell the boys that he understands them. And the girl that our main character had sex with is also in on their heist. I should probably mention that. She's the one who kills him. She gets a nice shot between the eyes with a pistol. They had to show this murder, apparently. And the whole rest of the movie is just the finishing of their crusade and then credits. Roll credits. We don't get to see if they get murdered or anything. We just get to see millions of people die at the end. Is basically what happens. So, honestly, I don't get anything that was happening in this movie. Like, at all. And even worse, during the graduation scene, before the whole crusade, the teacher they had, actually it was general, the person they had giving the speech was talking about how freedom comes with laws and such. And while I was sitting there, I was just thinking to myself, no, that's not freedom. We're bound by laws. That's not, you know, freedom. I know it's a very anarchist way of thinking, but I'm a rebel. What can I say? So, I guess they were just trying to give off the idea that anarchism is bad, but all I could do at the end of the movie is think, wow, that's a lot of bloodshed. And at the same time, I kind of wanted to applaud the boys for fighting for the right for freedom. Sure, they did it in an illegal way, but honestly, this movie was fucking crap. It wanted to push its ideals, and it did that. It really did that. Honestly, this is a setting that you would not expect to see these types of people in. At least these three boys. You would not expect to see them in this type of setting. Not even the 60s. Hell, if you're in a boarding school in the 60s, you probably grew up under a brainwashing environment where you're being taught that long hair's bad, where rejecting authority is bad, and I'm just going along with it because you don't know anything else, you know? I know how this works. These people wouldn't exist in this environment. So, it just makes everything that much more weird to me. Honestly, it's like, I don't know how to explain this movie. It had an agenda, but the idea was to make you think or something? I don't know. You can give out your own thoughts on it, but I kind of sided with the main characters despite how poorly they were portrayed and how fuck the rules they actually were. Because let's be honest, I might fight somebody, but I'm never gonna kill anybody unless they're breaking into my fucking house. I'm not gonna kill anybody without a good goddamn reason. If I'm fighting for freedom, it's not gonna be murder, it's gonna be fight, okay, put her there. I'm into the gentlemanly type of fight. They took it to a whole wrong level. And I honestly don't think anybody would have done that. Hell, this movie should have been over way back at the old school punishment scene when they were shaking hands. Like I said, if I were the protagonist, it's not like they're weaklings. These guys are being taught in a very militarian way. They know what they're doing. And the teachers that were doing disciplining in that scene were not militarian. And there was no restraints. So, thoughts on the movie? It was too long, it had an agenda, and again, very difficult to understand if you're not keeping your ears super wide open. So, my rating for this movie, I gotta give it a 4 out of 10. It's okay to watch, I'd say. Just know that it's not gonna be a good movie. It's gonna be a fucking terrible movie. It is a horrible movie. If you're watching it to get your brain going, to think, how far would you take your anarchism? How far would you fight for your freedom? Would you side with the teachers, you know? And if you're siding with the teachers, what actions would you take? How would you punish these boys? Like, whose side of the fight are you on? What are you gonna do? It's there to make you think. At least it is nowadays. But in the sense of the 60s, which I sadly know quite a bit about, in the sense of the 60s, this was a very agenda-driven movie. It was a very, your generation needs to straighten up type of movie. And I know we have movies like that in this generation and in previous generations, especially in the 80s. But let's be honest, no one's ever gonna straighten up. Society has a path we move on, and that path cannot be set in stone and made to stay the same all throughout if rules and such are set in place. Because why would people want to obey laws that oppress them? That's where the anarchism thing comes in, you know? Anarchists believe that all forms of authority is a threat to freedom. So, any rules? Fuck it. But, I don't know. They really put everything to a 10 extreme. I've never had a freedom fight that fucking hard. Hell, I had a freedom fight when I was in school myself. And you know how it ended? In my favor, when I left the school, took off a shirt, which by the way, throughout the whole last day, was a fight over with the principal for the fact that it had the word hell on it. But I took off the shirt on my way out to school and to the bus. I did put it back on when I was in the bus because I didn't exactly plan on sitting on the bus shirtless and getting a whole bunch of titty twisters and such. Because let's be honest, high schoolers aren't exactly the most mature. And written on my back, and this is a story I've been wanting to tell for a while, because this is seriously one of my biggest, victories right there. Written on my back was, fuck this place. Yeah. It was a huge victory for me. And it was a fun way to go out. It was the best way to go out of school. That was the way I graduated, people. That was the way I graduated. Well, actually, it's not exactly the way I graduated, but it's the way I spent my last day at school. I actually did go through the graduation ceremony and all that, even though it was a certificate of completion. But, yeah. So, it's there to make you think, but it's got a lot, and I mean a lot, of 60s racism, sexism, all the isms that came with that era. On top of that, it has a very, very stereotyped nature. So, just be very aware of that. Because nobody, and I mean nobody in that position, is that, cranked up to 10. Too bad for their own good type of thing. You know? So, I don't know. The main issue I have with this movie is the fact that they end it on just the, fight. They don't show any, arrestments or anything. They don't show anybody dying. I mean, besides the people in the getting murdered at the crusade. But, yeah. Well, I guess they did show the, one teacher dying, but they don't show any effects of that afterwards. So, that's my main issue, is that end. It's a very cliffhanger end, if you get what I mean. Now, the name of the movie is If. So, I guess in the regards of the name, it does make you question. But, in regards to the name, if what? I think the better question is, what if? What if we don't murder the teacher? What if, we follow society's rules? What if we don't? That's a better name for the movie, but instead we get the name If ... So if what? That's what I get from that. And honestly, in the context of that movie, it doesn't fit. That is my main issue with that movie. That is my review. I'm not even sure if I'm gonna post all that, because I just kind of built myself up to kind of sound like a murderer. And hell if I'm ever gonna murder anybody. Again, only under extreme circumstances. Like, somebody's breaking into the house. And if that's the case, it's gonna be with traditional weapons, you know? It's not gonna be with a fucking gun. Though I would love to have a gun. But it's gonna be with something close by. So traditional or improvised. One of the two. But I've never thought about using anything like this, and this is actually Dad's, but I never thought about using something like this to fight for freedom unless it was absolutely necessary. What do I mean by absolutely necessary? Ever heard of the gun control situation? That would be the absolute necessary. If they're bursting into houses to take away our guns, there is going to be a civil war, and I will be part of that charge. But other than that, there's no reason for me to use this on another human without my life being threatened. So, I hope that clears things up for you a little bit on what I mean by that. I should have ended this review like millennia ago. I even already gave the review score. So, if you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe. There are links in the description. You can actually see the video yourself if you want. The year again is 1968, so just look up If Movie 1968. Actually, I just looked up If Movie and got it pretty quickly, but that should lead you straight to the movie. And I will end the video.